Hey, everybody. Rich Eisen here in my home office, getting ready for a final weekend of the 2021 season. 2 weekends into 2022. I'm not going to lie, this is weird. This is a little weird. It's first time for all of us. 18th regular season, week 17 regular season games. And even with the extra, if you will, regular season game, we enter this final weekend of action with only one playoff spot up for grabs in the NFC and two up for grabs in the AFC. In the NFC, Green Bay's already clinched home field throughout the playoffs. That, however, in the AFC is still up for grabs, along with those two playoff spots in the wild card slots. And that's how we kick things off with me in my weekly chat with you here from my home office or wherever I am to let you know what you need to know and be smarter as you sit down for some football view in action. Who's in, who's out, what's at stake. All brought to you by my friends at Courtyard by Marriott. Let's start with the Saturday games, the doubleheader, starting with Kansas City at Denver. Kansas City's already clinched the AFC West, a home playoff spot. They can clinch home field throughout, despite having lost in Cincinnati last week with a win in Denver. They lose, and the top seed in the AFC belongs to Tennessee, even before Tennessee takes the field in Houston on Sunday. If Kansas City wins this game, they got to root for the Texans. Because if the Tennessee Titans win that game in Houston, they get the top seed in the AFC playoffs. But if Kansas City wins and Houston wins, meaning Tennessee loses, home field goes through Arrowhead once again in the AFC. Then there's the nightcap, Dallas and Philly. Philly's already clinched a playoff spot, entering the final weekend as the 7th seed. If they win, they can go up to the 6th seed with other results. And that would also mean Dallas would be the 4th seed. They would clinch as the 4th seed if they lose this game in Philadelphia. If they win, the Cowboys have an opportunity to go as high as 2 in the NFC. So there is something at stake for both teams in terms of seeding and getting ready for the playoffs. Then comes Sunday's action. Let's finish up with the NFC, shall we? Because if Dallas loses and winds up as the 4th seed, they'll take on the loser of the NFC West battle once all the dust settles on Sunday. And that's where we start with Sunday action. The Los Angeles Rams taking on the San Francisco 49ers. Huge game. Rams win the game, they win the West. They lose the game, they could lose the West if Arizona, taking on Seattle at the same time, wins that game in the desert. If Arizona loses that, no matter what happens with the Rams win the NFC West. However, the San Francisco 49ers have something at stake. San Francisco, despite being the 6th seed coming into the weekend, higher than the Eagles at 7, and the Eagles have already clinched the playoff spot. For some reason, the Niners have yet to clinch. As Billy Joel once said, don't ask me why. If the Niners win this football game, they clinch the 6th seed and make the playoffs. If they lose this game, and at the same time in Atlanta, the Saints and Taysom Hill beat the Atlanta Falcons, then the Saints make the playoffs and the 49ers are out. So there's a big time late window of action on Sunday when the Rams take on the 49ers and the Cardinals take on Seattle, and New Orleans, despite all their downs and occasional ups all season long, the New Orleans Saints can make the playoffs with a win and a 49ers loss. Those are your late games of actions of importance. Also in the late window, some AFC battles going on to talk about. The Buffalo Bills are taking on the New York Jets. Guess what? If the Buffalo Bills win that game, they win the AFC East. And it doesn't matter what goes on between the Patriots and the Dolphins. So the Buffalo Bills have an opportunity to win the AFC East with a win at home against the Jets. If they lose that game and the Patriots beat the Dolphins, the Patriots win the AFC East. Interestingly enough, the Patriots have an opportunity to clinch home field throughout the entire AFC playoffs, but the Bills don't. The Bengals have an opportunity to clinch home field advantage in the AFC throughout the entire playoffs as well. Here's how the Patriots clinch home field advantage throughout the playoffs in the AFC on Sunday. If they beat the Miami Dolphins and the Jets beat the Buffalo Bills, and Kansas City will have already lost to Denver, and Tennessee loses to the Texans. I know that's threading a really small needle eye right there, but that's the way the Patriots clinch home field throughout the AFC playoffs. The Bengals, they are taking on the Cleveland Browns. If they win and Kansas City and Tennessee also lose, along with either New England or for some reason the Jets lose, That's the way the Bengals can have home field advantage throughout the playoffs in the jungle. So that's up for grabs as well. Now then, what about the wild card slots? Well then, the Indianapolis Colts can make the playoffs and grab one of those two remaining wild card spots because New England's already taken one of them coming into this weekend. If the Colts beat the Jaguars, that's it. They make the playoffs. They have a win and in scenario, and that would leave up the 7th seed to Sunday Night Football. Winner between the Chargers and the Raiders goes in, and the loser goes home. That's if the Colts beat the Jaguars earlier in the day. At the same time, however, the Ravens and the Steelers are playing one another in Baltimore. So the significance of this one, the winner of the game has an opportunity to make the playoffs. The loser does not. So it's an elimination game for the loser, and that would also be a career elimination game, most likely for Big Ben, who played, as we all know, his last home game as a Steeler last week. The winner of this game has an opportunity to make the playoffs if the Colts lose to the Jaguars. The Ravens can make the playoffs if they win this game and get losses by the Colts, Miami, and the Chargers. That's the way the Ravens win this game and make the playoffs. So the Jaguars need to beat the Indianapolis Colts for the winner of Ravens Steelers to make the playoffs. That's a tall order, sure, but the Colts, believe it or not, have not won in Jacksonville since 2014. Last year, Jacksonville won one game, as we all know. It was week 1. They lost every other game after that. But that week 1 win was against the Colts and Phillip Rivers. So who knows, right? Because if the Steelers win and the Jaguars win and the Sunday night game does not end in a tie, there's a result of any sort other than a tie, that's the way the Steelers make the playoffs. Because if the Steelers win and the Jaguars win and the Chargers and the Raiders finish in a tie, the Chargers and Raiders both make the playoffs. Colts are out, Steelers are out, Ravens are out. Both teams on Sunday Night Football are in. So it's a wild scenario, don't you think? That the current situation going into week 18 is a Sunday night finale on NBC between the Chargers and the Raiders. Winner in, loser goes home, unless it's a tie. And if the Steelers win earlier and the Jaguars win earlier, a tie means both teams are in. So you have a winner go home, winner goes in and loser goes home game, or both get in game, potentially. I mean, I'm trying my best to let you all know who can be in and who can't. There's 256 different permutations as to who gets in and at what seed 1 through 7 in the AFC, just 32 of those in the NFC. So let's all sit back and enjoy our week 18 of action in an unprecedented NFL season. We'll see you then. Have a good one, everybody. Be healthy, be safe.